Well, the positional live streams are back at it again since we already did wide receivers, we already did offensive line, we already did running backs and tight ends, and we already did defensive linemen and linebackers. And now we're going to get to the final huge position, and that is going to be the defensive backs. So in this live stream, you got me, Andy, and Austin back with another live stream. And I cannot wait to see what the secondary is going to look like coming up right here, right now on the NE Patriots Talk. Let's go. Good evening, guys, and welcome back to another edition here on the NE Patriots Talk channel. And like I said before, we will be discussing secondary, which includes the cornerbacks and the safeties. One of, if not one of our favorite positions to discuss when it comes to the Patriots. So, how are we boys doing?
We're doing well. We're doing well, Dow. How about you, buddy?
I can't complain. I think that today has been it was okay day. It's sunshine
Exactly.
up in Boston. So yeah, I really
sunshine.
love
take a walk. It was a nice day.
And personally, for me, I got a job offer, and hopefully, I get an interview by Wednesday afternoon. Hopefully, that works out. But yeah, how are we doing, Austin?
Yeah, doing great. Happy to be here after a day at work and just talking sports with my buddies. So.
Yep.
And Roger, Dad, happy to have you back, Austin. Welcome back, buddy.
Thank you.
Like I said before, as you come into the show, guys, please make sure that you smash the like button and hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps supports the channel, and it helps us grow the channel in a massive way possible. And throughout the show, please post in your questions and comments throughout the stream. We would love to see your thoughts are throughout the stream, and we will get to those at the end of our discussion once I pull up the stats for all of the cornerbacks and safeties, because this is going to be a huge discussion since the depth has looked a little more, it looks a lot better compared to last season's, I gotta say. So without further ado, let's take a look at some of these stats. Hold on, let me just switch over to this. There we go. So let's start off with the cornerbacks, and I gotta tell you, this cornerback duo, Christian Gonzalez and Carlton Davis, we got to discuss these first two, because throughout the offseason, there's so much hype surrounding these two after the free agent signing of Carlton Davis. So what are your thoughts on this potential cornerback duo with Gonzalez and Davis? I'll start with you, Andy.
Yeah, I think Gonzo and Davis, I mean, you have a right cornerback, and Davis played left cornerback there in 2020 and then again in 24. I think these guys, from what I've heard and read, they'll perfectly complement each other. I'm not sure about their heights. Let me look them both up right now. I believe
Gonzalez is 6'1", and then Davis is take a look.
Gonzo is 6'1", and Davis is like, what, 6'3"?
He's also 6'1".
Oh, interesting. But yeah, I mean, obviously Davis is considerably older. He'll be 28. Gonzo will be 23. But I'm really, really psyched for this duo. I mean, Carlton Davis had a couple of picks last season. The Super Bowl champion with Tampa Bay. He had 4 picks that 2020 season. That was before they went to the Super Bowl. That was 21. He only had 1. And Gonzo, the three of us all know who Gonzo is. I mean, he's arguably a top 5 cornerback in the league. Sadly, had his 2022 season, or 2023 season rather, cut short, as you can see. Wait, I must have reversed those numbers.
Yeah, 2020. Wait, let me see if you. No, you got the right numbers.
I did.
Yeah, because
you might have just copy pasted the 23 year and the 24 year. It's no big deal.
Yeah, I think I already redid it, so you're good.
It's
All
just
right, good.
4 games started, 4 games played for 23, and then 16-16 for
Oh,
24.
okay, yeah, that's probably I messed up the numbers. So yeah, obviously, sadly, that 23 season cut short. And I mean, even under Gerard Mayo and a defensive coordinator whose name we shall not mention, he still had a couple of picks. He had 11 passes defended. That's pretty darn good. Both he and Davis had 11 passes defended, which I think is kind of a fascinating stat line. So yeah, I mean, just briefly looking at the stats for these guys, um, passes defended here, we have for Davis, we have 18, 11, 12, 9, and 11. That's all in the same. I mean, the 18 is obviously an outlier. Um, it's yeah, I mean, they look like pretty complementary guys, and it'll be really exciting to see what they look like on the field in actual pads come training camp.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, I think this cornerback duo is going to be pretty electric. There's a lot to look forward to. Obviously, like Andy had mentioned, Gonzo being injured his first year and then having the bounce back year that he did. I'm actually kind of surprised that a lot of these tier lists that we're starting to see come out don't have Gonzo listed as a top corner. It may just be recency bias, like only 1 year played, but I think he's better than a lot of the corners in this league. Now you're going to pair him with Carlton Davis, who is also one of the top corners in the league. I mean, I think they were both top 10 in like passes defended and some other categories for corners. So we're looking at 2 shutdown corners, and I know big thing is like history repeats itself, right? So in a lot of ways, Gonzo and Carlton Davis, to me, is like when we had Stephon Gilmore and then you had JC Jackson under him. In this sense, it's like Carlton Davis is our Stephon Gilmore, and Gonzo is that younger JC Jackson, like being allowed to come up and learn the game, but also he's his own player and can stand like well on the other side. And I think the additions of Milton Williams on defense with Harold Landry and Robert Spillane are going to open up a lot for this defense in terms of the pass defense, because just the pass rush alone is going to make their jobs easier. What compared to last year, where we couldn't get to the quarterback even if we paid the refs $100 a piece and said, "Hey, let us go
Exactly.
through." So
yeah, your entire defense was the secondary, so they had way too much going on. Yeah, good point, Austin.
Yeah, I was gonna say the only difference with this cornerback room, it has to be, well, besides these additions, also it has to be the coaching, because in years past we had Mike Pellegrino as our and we had Mike Pellegrino and Brian Belichick as our safeties and cornerbacks coaches. Now that Brian Belichick is with his father and Mike Pellegrino is the cornerbacks coach for the Buffalo Bills, we have some new faces. That's why we have like the likes of Scott Booker, and then this other guy who I think is the assistant defensive backs coach for the Indianapolis Colts, which concerns me a little bit. Oh, that's Justin Hamilton. And what concerns me a little bit is because the secondary for the Indianapolis Colts were not good. However, if I'm not mistaken, there were a couple of standouts for the Indianapolis Colts.
Julian Blackmon.
Yeah. But other than that, the secondary for
Julian
the Colts,
Blackmon and Zaire Franklin. That was no Zaire Franklin. Am I dreaming? No, I think that was it.
I think so. I think one of them led the league in tackles, if I'm not mistaken. Let me double check. Let me quickly double check before I continue. Actually, I'll take a look at it during one of your guys' like takes, but I gotta say I'm really excited for these two because Christian Gonzalez, whatever crap that happens with the defense, especially under Covington and under that other guy I'm not gonna even mention, he still carried that defense in spite of that injury, that shoulder injury that he suffered, and even that I wouldn't say he had a full season. Well, technically, except for the concussion that he had against the Chargers, I think he was out for the Chargers game because of some injury, if I'm not mistaken. And yeah, I think that Christian Gonzalez has been carrying that defense because we had basically zero pass rush. And Now with Terrell Williams and Mike Vrabel and a completely brand new defensive staff, it's gonna allow Gonzalez to make more plays than what he did in the past. And what's shocking to me is that what I know that there's a lot of, like you alluded to, Austin, there's so many like recency bias because Christian Gonzalez had a better statistical season than Sauce Gardner. And I still don't understand why there are so many Jets fans who say they would prefer Sauce over Gonzo. Like, Sauce had a down, even though Sauce had like 2 first-team All-Pro seasons, and then just last season, he had a disappointing season. Versus Gonzo, he played really well before his injury, and then I think he played really well, and he got second-team All-Pro. So what are your thoughts on this argument between which cornerback is better, which is Gonzo versus Sauce? What are your thoughts on that, Andy?
Yeah, I'm right there. I'm right with you there, Dow. I mean, all this Sauce Gardner, you don't even hear it from just from Jets fans either. You hear it from people in NFL media. Do not give Gonzo nearly the credit that he's due. I mean, for what a dog he's been on the football field. Sauce Gardner, if I'm not mistaken, has had a downward trend the past couple of seasons. Let me look at PFF real quick.
Like, I know he had like an impressive rookie season. He was first-team All-Pro, and he was Defensive Rookie of the Year.
Correct. But
and I know that Sauce Gardner couldn't tackle for anything. Like,
correct.
I guess the Patriots, he got mossed by Booty and Stevenson.
Right. He is. I mean, his overall grade in 2024 was 47th out of 222 ranked cornerbacks. His pass rush grade was 13th at a 78.5. I got to give him that. But if we just quickly go to Gonzo here. His pass rush grade was a 74.9, which was 22nd, but his overall grade was a 76, which ranked 21st out of all ranked cornerbacks, and that's because his coverage grade was a 78.2. I mean, so yeah, I don't agree with all about this, seeing these 6, 8, 10 corners ranked ahead of Gonzo. It's just, including Sauce Gardner often. It's really Derek Stingley. I mean, it's stupid. I mean, like I said, you're talking, all things considered, a top 5 cornerback in the NFL.
Mm-hmm. What are how about you, Austin?
Yeah, so you guys know I'm like a huge fan of, PFF to kind of reference some of these stats. But I mean, just looking at that, they have this top 20, 25 cornerbacks heading into the season, right? And it's like 32 or whatever. Number 1, Sauce Gardner. I don't know how you can look at me with a straight face and tell me Sauce Gardner is number 1 cornerback heading into next season.
He's not.
But where is this list? How do you get it?
I can share it with you.
I can pull up that cornerback rankings 2025. I just don't get it. But continue.
So all I was getting at is, like, they have people like Sauce Gardner up here, Derek Stingley, who, if we remember, got torched by Kayshon Boutte twice last year. DJ Reed, who was former on the Jets number 2, who's now in the Detroit Lions, who I think Carlton Davis is way better. You have to scroll all the way down to 13 to even get Gonzalez, and then you have.
Wait, I thought they. Wait. I'm looking at 2024. They have Cooper DeJean as the number 1 corner.
Yeah.
You found 2025?
Yep, it's on. Yep, it's on the thing. I was really disgusted about it because
what? Where scroll up, Dow, if you wouldn't mind.
It's titled PFF cornerback rankings top 32
Oh.
ahead of the 2025 NFL season. But as I was saying, I was really disgusted with what I'm looking at when I saw the rankings. I would have put, especially Patrick Surtain II under Sauce Gardner. Like, I don't get it. Like,
No, Pat Surtain should be number one, like, no questions asked.
Yeah.
I mean, the fact, like, Quinyon Mitchell, I would consider is like on par with Gonzalez, and the fact that like he's even farther back than Gonzalez.
They don't have Gonzo. They don't have Gonzo in the top 10.
They literally have Jair Alexander, who doesn't even have a team right now, as number 9.
Jalen Johnson, who didn't have
Jalen Johnson in the top 4.
And then Denzel Ward. I don't like it. I would have
Marlon Humphrey, Christian Benford,
Denzel I'm more Ward. Okay with. But that's because Bills were because Bills had a good team. Marlon Humphrey, it was him and Wiggins, and then you have who is it? Devin Witherspoon, because Devin Witherspoon, the defense was good for Seattle.
I would put Surtain ahead of Gonzo.
Yeah. Stingley.
I would put Stingley arguably ahead of Gonzo.
What about McDuffie?
And maybe McDuffie, and that's it. I mean, like I said, Gonzo to me is a top 5. Definitely, I mean,
if anything, I would put Sauce Gardner as a top 15, regardless of what happened during 2022 and 2023. As Colby said,
Sauce Gardner is still given way too much credit in the annals of NFL punditry.
Yeah. As Colby said, he said it time and time again. He said, it doesn't matter what you did in the past. The NFL will care about what you did now. So basically, what Sauce Gardner did in 2024 has been shockingly disappointing.
And before we move on to Alex Austin here, I just want to say, and I'm sure you guys noticed this, Gonzo was not used properly.
Exactly.
In nearly every game in 2024. I mean, he was covering. There was one, there were a couple of games I just remember him just covering completely the wrong receivers. It's like, really? What? You like a blind man can see you always put Christian Gonzalez against your opposing team's wide receiver 1.
Exactly. I think I was watching the AFC's roundtable last Wednesday. I heard a whole debate between Colby and Richie about Sauce Gardner versus Christian Gonzalez. And that debate was the most pointless debate I've ever heard. And it's because there's no debate, because Christian Gonzalez, in spite of that injury that he had in 2023, looked a lot better than Sauce Gardner, because Sauce Gardner couldn't even tackle Kayshon Boutte, as you alluded to, Austin. He couldn't even tackle Ramondre Stevenson, which is the saddest thing I've ever heard, under Jeff Ulbrich, who was the defensive coordinator for the Jets. I just don't get it. But let's get that out of the way, because it's another live stream we can discuss Sauce versus Gonzalez, which I find that to be one of the most meaningless debates ever. But let's talk about Alex Austin. And I gotta say that Alex Austin, in spite of the injury that he had against the Jets, I thought he looked really impressive when we claimed him off of waivers in 2023, since he wasn't used properly by the Buffalo Bills. And funny enough, during his time in New England in 2023, he looked really impressive. An interception off of Josh Allen, that just proves that this guy has the it factor. And I know he's more of like your developmental cornerback, I would say. He could be like your cornerback 3, and has the potential to be like your cornerback 2 once he's developed properly. So what are your thoughts on Alex Austin, Andy?
Yeah, Alex Austin, I mean, I messaged you earlier, Dow, saying obviously both Gonzo and Davis are or should be, in theory, locks to make this 53-man roster. Alex Austin's right there with him. You look at these numbers. I mean, he did have that pick out off of Josh Allen. I think that passes defended in column L. I think he had 5 last year, which is his best yet. Yeah, so I think keep him on the roster is a very, very clear cornerback 3. And again, he's putting down these numbers against the defensive staff who, or under a defensive staff rather, who really didn't know what they were doing. And he's only going to be 25. He's still relatively young. So, yeah, Alex Austin, I mean, I definitely think could be and this is the key thing, we've got to keep him in case either Gonzo or Davis goes down. I mean, you've got to have that backup cornerback.
Yeah, Davis could be that guy because we know Davis has dealt with multiple injuries, including that jaw injury. He has dealt with so many injuries back in Tampa Bay, and this could be a potential like insurance policy because after all these guys that we have in the list, the depth it's not as strong as you think. But I want to hear Austin's take on Alex Austin.
Yeah, I think Alex Austin is going to be a very promising player for us in the near future. I think even if Carlton Davis didn't sign with us, he'd probably be thrown into that cornerback 2 role. I think it's a bonus that we have Carlton Davis now so that he can further develop behind Gonzo and Davis and, kind of learn that role. I mean, if you come into a season and you tell me, yeah, Gonzo and Carlton are your 1 and 2 and you got Alex Austin who's also, a big corner ready to go as your 3, I'd be pretty happy. I think he's been kind of lost in translation with the minicamp and stuff. I mean, everybody's so focused on what's the offense doing, what's the passing game like. There's not a lot of lights being shown on Alex Austin, but I think he's been steadily improving behind the scenes, and I think he's gonna make some good contributions this year.
Yeah, I agree with that. I think that Alex Austin, if he proves that he can have like a breakout season, like he has shown flashes before, but because of his health, it wasn't the best. But if he could break out this upcoming season, in spite of having like your typical cornerback duo, give him a contract, give him a contract extension, like give him like a 3-year deal or a 4-year deal, because if he performs up to like at least a second team all pro level or Pro Bowler level, he's worthy of getting that contract. And I'm excited to see what Alex Austin can do this upcoming season. This other cornerback that we're taking a look right now is Marcus Jones, and there were flashes that Marcus Jones has been really impressive, especially that controversial season in 2022, where it seemed like Marcus Jones was the only shining star of that 2022 NFL draft class because the rest of the guys could kick rocks. And he looked serviceable in the defense and special teams and glimpses of the offense. So the question I have for you guys is, should you give Marcus Jones a contract extension or like a 5th-year deal option? Well, I'll start with you, Andy.
Well, let me just say the first play that comes to mind when you say that name is the punt return touchdown. I think it was a punt return touchdown against the Jets in 2022 that put that game away. But as for giving him the 5th-year option, I'm not sure I'm 100% there yet. Again, his stats were better. His stats were considerably ahead of Alex Austin's for last year, but I definitely am, like Austin said, I definitely want to keep Alex Austin here as a developmental guy. But the 5th-year option, Interesting question. Let's see how 2025 looks for him if he makes the roster before giving a verdict on that.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, Marcus Jones has been, a light on our very dim defense. Just someone to look forward to while you watch football, basically. Like Andy alluded to, he made some big plays on special teams. He's even come in on offensive plays and lit it up, scoring that huge touchdown against the Bills. Like, there's no doubt he has the talent. I struggle sometimes seeing if he's truly gonna fit on the team. I mean, I know early reports were like, "Oh, Vrabel's not in love with him." I think if he can keep performing well, Vrabel can get past that or whatever. I know he likes having a bigger player in the nickel, which is why I was like vouching for, maybe we go and get a Jair Alexander who's just released, or maybe we go get a Asante Samuel Jr. to play that nickel role and keep Marcus Jones, subbing in or have him on, special teams. But there is also the upside where you're looking at outside of Carlton Davis, Gonzo's going to be turning 24, Alex Austin's 25, and then Marcus Jones is going to be 25. Like, you have three young corners right there that could all potentially grow up together, and then you're not looking at having to upgrade the corner position at all, and you can focus on different positions for the next, I don't know, 5 years. If that's how it works out, that's how it works out, and that'd be great.
And you could talk about, a couple of positions on the O-line, maybe wide receiver, maybe running back. Yeah, you're right, Austin. That's a corner stable that if we wind up holding on to Marcus Jones could, you got three, solid young guys on there, and possibly Carlton Davis for 2, 3, 4 years. Your cornerback room is set.
Yeah, my take on Marcus Jones. This guy, I want to see him getting a contract extension or like a 5-year deal option after like a promising 2022. But there's one problem with Marcus Jones, and that is his durability. If I'm not mistaken, 2023, he suffered that shoulder injury against the Dolphins that put him out for the entire season. And 2024, I don't know if he looked the same, even though I'm looking at his stats for 2024. He did look decent. He had more tackle. He had some tackles. He had 1 interception, and he had like 2 forced recoveries. It did look better, but his durability is going to be a huge question because he's a small guy. He's a small guy, 5'8". For a tiny man. I just hope he stays healthy. And if he can stay healthy throughout training camp, throughout the entire regular season, if he can make the 53-man roster, he's sure worthy of getting like a 5th-year deal, because after this season, he's going to be a free agent. So health is going to be really important. But speaking of health, the one player that is going to be a question mark is Isaiah Bolden, and I don't know about Isaiah Bolden after that scary injury that he had against the Packers in the preseason, and he's at least reliable, at least, but for some reason I'm not convinced that we should keep him on a 53-man roster for Isaiah Bolden. What are your thoughts on him, Andy?
Yeah, 100%. I mean, with the 4 guys we've already talked about, I mean, Isaiah Bolden is clearly the odd man out. I mean, he's just about the same age as the other guys. I mean, you're talking Austin is going to be 24, Jones is going to be 27. I think 24 for Gonzo. Actually, no. So he is kind of in that age range, but stats wise, he's in terms of durability, he's definitely the odd man out of those 5. Yeah, pretty much all I have to say about Isaiah Bolden. He's pretty much been a non-factor since we drafted him.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, so this is someone, I mean, it's not that I'm not a fan of, but I just really don't see a place for him on this roster. Um, he comes into the league, unfortunately, at 25. He's going to be 26 next year. Like, you're looking at Gonzo's, already had 2 years, and then he's going into his third at 24. You have Marcus Jones, who's already had 3 years, and he's going to be like 27. Alex Austin's already had 3 years, and he's going to be 24. Like, the common theme is like Isaiah Bolden started way later than these guys, but he's also way older than these guys, and it's hard for me too, with him not really contributing much, if anything, last year. And with the new regime having zero loyalty to anything that Mayo or Belichick would have drafted or had on their teams, it's a hard time for me seeing him actually holding a roster spot. Maybe practice squad, but again, that's a stretch. I mean, I need to see some contribution at the bare minimum.
Yeah, there are flashes here and there in OTAs, but that doesn't convince me that he could potentially be like your cornerstone guy because we already have the four, at least the 3 to 4 main guys, which is Gonzo, Davis, Austin, and then potentially Marcus Jones. If he can prove that he could be that other, he could be that depth guy just in case if one of the two, Gonzo or Davis, goes down. But I'm just not convinced with Bolden, considering that he hasn't produced much even after that scary injury. And I just feel like he is more of like a camp body than much of like a cornerstone for the cornerbacks. And so that's my take on Bolden. And I think that Bolden, I'm just looking up right now. He's like 26 years old. And obviously he was drafted in the same he was in the same draft class as Christian Gonzalez, but he had more college. He spent more time in college compared to Christian Gonzalez. So yeah, I would let him go. Like I would have cut Isaiah Bolden at this at some point because I just feel like Bolden, as time goes on, he's just gonna be like he's just a waste of a roster spot for other people. But that's my take. But let's head over to Marcellus Dials. And I gotta say, I was somewhat not a huge fan of this pick. Like, I would have preferred other cornerback prospects in the 2024 draft instead of Marcellus Dial. He has shown some flashes in the special teams, but it seems like special teams is where he's good at unlike the defense. So what are your thoughts on him, Andy?
Yeah, much like you, I was not a fan of that Marcellus Dial pick. If I look him up super quick, we took him
6th round.
6th round? Okay. Thank you. Yeah, I mean there were definitely probably even that late better corners to be had. You look at his stats. I mean, he's sturdy. He played every game. He didn't do much except for that one forced fumble, I think. Help me out here, guys, on when that was. Was that against? Might have even been a divisional game.
For some
But
reason, I'm thinking Buffalo, but
I'm thinking Buffalo too. But well, anyway, let's not dwell on it. I'm thinking the same thing. But I mean, look at him. He's a young guy. He's only going to be 24 headed into this season. So, and well, we've all alluded to Vrabel having no loyalty to the Belichick guys or to the Mayo guys, or we'll call them Wolf guys, really, because he made the draft picks in 2024. But Marcellus Dial, there's Duggar, Peppers, they're getting to the old side of things. I mean, it's probably worth just having Dial on the roster as a body, because I mean, you got a couple of guys in the safety spot who are getting up there.
How about you, Austin?
Like you, Dow, I wasn't really a fan of this pick when we took him. I mean, I think at the time, I don't think we really needed cornerbacks. I think Belichick and Mayo and all these people, like they didn't know what they were drafting for. They just were. It's one of Andy's saying, throwing spaghetti at the wall and hoping something sticks. You know what I mean? Like, it's tough to see him having a roster spot. I can at least say he contributes on special teams, so he's got that going for him. But and he's young. Like, to me, like, he's above Bolden in this just because Bolden's turning 26 and Isles 23 going 24. So simple as that. I mean, same thing. I need to see them contributing in training camp and see them proving themselves, see the hunger in the preseason games coming up. And I mean, hopefully they both prove us wrong and maybe they steal a roster spot from Marcus Jones. Who knows? But that's what you want. You want to breed competition. You want people to bring the best out of each other. So
Wait, you said the hunger in the preseason. What do you mean?
like the preseason for some of these guys is the only opportunity they'll have to really
Exactly.
show
Before
what they have.
Correct.
So
Before, yeah.
Yeah, joint practices and training camp, and as you alluded to, Austin, the preseason will dictate how well these players will perform because it is a competition, as you said, and not everybody's going to get like a freebie spot. So they're going to have to work for it. And coming out of the draft, it was reported that Dials was going to be more of like a ball hawk. And what he did last year in OTAs has been really disappointing. And I felt like he's going to be like one of those bust moves coming from that Mayo Wolf regime. But if there's a situation where he is really good as a special teamer alongside Brendan Schooler, then I could see him making a roster spot. But I don't think that he's gonna be like 100% a lock because he didn't do much for the defense. He's more like your special teamer at this point. So this is gonna be like if he's gonna prove it throughout training camp and joint practices and preseason. So let's hope if that works. But let's talk about another cornerback who is our Mr. Irrelevant, which I kind of disagree with this pick because I would prefer someone else over him, and that is Kobe. And this is Kobe Minor. When I look at Kobe Minor's stats, it's just basically a body at this point. But at the same time, I felt like there were more options in the draft than cornerback. Like I would have selected like a left guard or a tight end since left guard was like a sneaky big need because obviously, like I said before, there's so many question marks with Cole Strange and his health and then the depth behind it. So what are your thoughts on Kobe Minor, Andy? Because he's
100% with you there, Dow. I was running these numbers yesterday and saying yet again, yeah, he was Mr. Irrelevant, but why? We've already talked about the depth we have at the corner position. We're good, but getting kind of long in the tooth at tight end. I would have taken an insurance wide receiver or a left guard, or maybe even if there was one available. Actually, no, we got center. A left guard or maybe even a right tackle if there were any available. I mean, we said, I think his name was Jonas Gray out of Oregon. Let me look that up.
Oh, Josh Gray or something?
Yes, exactly.
I wanted him or Willie Lampkin out of North Carolina.
Ditto. But of course we know what we wound up doing in UDFA and with Efton Chisholm and Lan Larison and Jack Conley and all that. But yeah, I mean, it's pretty much deja vu. Like, we could have made one of those guys who might make the roster a Mr. Irrelevant. It could have been Lan Larison. It could have been Efton Chisholm. You used a draft pick on him. Again, looking at these numbers.
They were
not quite worth it again, but as we've all said, sounding like broken records here. Give him a chance. See what he does in training camp. See how his reps look. But this guy could just be one of those guys Austin alluded to. I mean, he could be a one and done kind of guy who winds up either on the practice squad or not signed by a team at all if the Pats opt not to sign him. So he's a definitely a wait and see guy.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, so I think I actually liked the Kobe Minor pick. At first, it was kind of a shock because you're kind of sitting there going like, "Who the heck is this guy?" Because I mean, you're already sitting there waiting, and it's like, "Oh, they traded back. Oh, they traded up. Oh, they traded back. Wait, we just traded back again to get the okay." So then the draft's already going on so long that you probably don't even care who the last pick is. But I think Kobe Minor could actually play like a Devin McCourty. And I know it's going to sound crazy, but he was a 3-star recruit out of high school, and he played pretty much the entire backfield, like free safety, strong safety, corner, slot corner. Like, I think the positional versatility that he offers really entices the coaching staff, which is why he was drafted. I also think he plays a lot more like fluidy. I don't know the exact term. Like his motions are more fluid than his actual athletic score would show, like his 40 time and his cone. Yeah, I think he's a good tackler. Like there's a lot to like about him. It's just, again, it's gonna be interesting to see if he does make the roster, because at the very least, I think he makes practice squad.
Yeah, I pulled up. This is from Wikipedia, but I'm in it, and it's high school. But he earned the following accolades: he was 2018 junior season, first team safety, Texas 5A District 7. All-purpose MVP in 2019. And then committed to play at Texas Tech. So he's definitely not a nobody. And like you said, Austin, a 3-star recruit. But I mean, it's of course, like Dow and I also said, it's like we have corners already. And I mean, yeah, it is the end of the draft. You could address your positions of need in UDFA.
I honestly see like Craig Woodson playing that strong safety and Kobe Minor potentially playing free safety. Like I could see that as our
definitely
safety duo, like moving forward.
The strong safety could absolutely be Craig Woodson. I've 100% come around on that pick, and we'll be talking about him momentarily.
Yeah, I want to, before we head over to the safeties, there's some other honorable mentions that we can also include to be potentially like a depth, but like with like the likes of Miles Battle, like we claimed him off of waivers, who was with the Kansas City Chiefs, and during that last season he played relatively okay, but at this point he's just more of a body at this point, and he made some plays during OTAs and minicamp. But would you consider giving Miles Battle a chance, because he had made some impressive plays, but I don't know if they were consistent or not? I'll start with you, Andy. Would you consider giving Miles Battle a chance?
To be honest, I didn't know we brought him in. Oh, he's still in Kansas City?
No, he was signed by Kansas City Chiefs, and then we claimed him off of waivers.
So he's a
yeah, he was an undrafted free agent.
He's a UDFA. Shoot. Let me just quick look at his college career.
So he spent his time with Ole Miss, and then spent his last season with Utah. And I know I'm looking at Wikipedia, and some of it is inaccurate, but he looked okay. But
he did. He absolutely did look okay. Pro Football Reference. Oh, no, nothing there yet. Here we go. Sportsreference.com. Ole Miss, this was Utah rather. This was 2023. 23, solo tackles, a tackle for a loss, 1 pick for 24 yards, 3 passes defended. He had 4 passes defended in 22, 8 in 21. Those were both with Ole Miss. So yeah, Miles Battle is definitely a guy worth giving a second look to in training camp.
How about you, Austin?
I'm gonna say yeah. I think with how abysmal the team was last year, you can't exactly write anyone off. I think after this year, you kind of have a better idea of, who's gonna be staying on your team and who's gonna be going. But last year, where now it's a clean slate because it was so terrible of a year. I think anybody coming on to this team, quite frankly, has a shot of making it. Just quickly looking at Miles' battle, it could just be a positional versatility thing again with wanting to bring him in because it looks like he played wide receiver, corner, and safety in college, having middling stats at all positions. They're kind of nothing really jumped out at me. He had a pick each year. He had a couple catches each year for a little bit of yardage, but just kind of seemed like a role player. I'll give him a chance, but I mean, his chances of making it are a lot less than some of the people that have already been on this team. But yes, I think everybody has a chance.
So Thomas brings up a question. I think we already discussed this already. He said, "What do you guys think of Kobe Minor, and what will you think he's going to fill in the Pats defense?" With Kobe Minor, he's like, I think I already said this before. He's more of like a body. He's more like a camp body, unless he can prove that he could be like he could be like a standout in training camp or joint practices. But at this point, he's just more of a camp body, unless something happens. What are your guys' thoughts?
Austin, go.
Oh, yeah. I mean, like I was saying, I mean, I consider his play style a little bit like a Devin McCourty, where he was brought in and it was like, okay, we're gonna have you play corner, but then they kind of realized, maybe he's better suited at safety, and then he finds his home there. I think Kobe Minor is gonna add the positional versatility and be able to play at multiple spots. So when somebody does need a break, it's just okay. Kobe, go in there for 2 downs and cover up for us. He's not a player who's gonna go in and you're gonna be like, oh shit, he's a detriment to us. Like, I think he's actually gonna come in and it's gonna be like, okay, he's gonna play solid for us.
Interesting. I mean, this is one of those guys. I have to say, I'll believe it when I see it. I haven't watched any of his college footage.
Same here.
Maybe it would be, eye-opening to pull some up the way I did with Lan Larson. I was like, who the shit is this guy? And like, boom, holy Toledo, might be something. But I don't know. I do agree with the clean slate with every guy, and Vrabel definitely seems like he's doing that. He's not saying, okay, with the guys he's got, he's not saying, okay, you're in, you're out. He doesn't have to yet, to be fair. But Minor, I mean, I can hope for a Devin McCourty type guy. He comes in, starting a cornerback, and it's like, okay, geez, maybe this guy can actually wind up playing free safety. I do, Austin, like your point about the versatility. I mean, it's nice to have those guys who can rotate a corner and safety in the backfield. In case you have one guy go down on either side. So, yeah, I mean, I would not cry if he does wind up making the 53-man.
Yeah. I actually want to give you just one last question, considering the cornerbacks, before we head over to the safeties. Now, because there's like a gaping hole now because of the Wes Schweitzer retirement, would you consider bringing in like a veteran, or we're all good with cornerbacks? Like, there's still some good corners. Like, there's Asante Samuel Jr. We could bring back Stephon Gilmore to a 1-year deal.
You said Wes Schweitzer, he's a lineman.
No, I said because Wes Schweitzer retired.
Because we opened up a hole.
As in bringing in another.
We want to bring in something.
Yeah, do you want to bring in like Stephon Gilmore or Asante Samuel Jr. for like?
I'd be down 100%. Asante, yeah, 100%.
Jair Alexander, bring him in.
Oh, you and Jair Alexander.
The thing,
Jeez.
funny enough, we have the number one. We're in the lead
Odds.
of cap space with like 63 million something.
Mm.
So my only problem with that Jair Alexander is his injury history.
But he's going to be cornerback 3. So if he goes down, it sucks, but it doesn't hurt us. That's the way I look at that.
Would you like give him like a
cornerback
1-year
3 behind Gonzo and Davis?
Yeah, like if you're signing him, you're not expecting him to be your number 1. Like
No,
he's
you're not.
he's
Obviously
number
not.
1 caliber, but he's gonna play your 3, which is to me that would be incredible.
Would you give him like
over
a
Alex
1-year
Austin?
deal?
Maybe an upgrade over Alex Austin.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'd probably do like a 1 year, 7 million or something, 10 million. I mean, he's earned that enough. Like he's proven that he can be a top corner in this league. It's just a matter of a team giving him a chance and a 1 year deal that he likes. And I mean, hopefully he ends up somewhere where he can continue to thrive. I mean, I don't think he deserves to be off a team. He should definitely be on somebody's team.
Yeah. And then Stephon Gilmore, I wouldn't mind it. He would like return as like give him like a 1-year deal as like probably his last season, because I think Stephon Gilmore at this age, he's not like the same like he once was when he was with us and Buffalo. And ever since we let him go, he hasn't. It was okay with the Panthers, Colts, and Cowboys and Vikings, but not like to the level where he was during Brady's final year, like in 2019, where he was Defensive Player of the Year. Would you give him like at least a small 1-year deal, like 1 year and $2 million, something like that, for Stephon Gilmore?
I think veteran minimum would be a bit more than that, to be honest. But I don't know the exact. I mean, it's probably something like 5 million. But
interesting. But let's now head over to the safeties. And oh my goodness, it's a tall tale with these secondaries. No, with these safeties. Excuse me. Let's start off with Kyle Duggar, and it was I know that Kyle Duggar, he had an injury, which is why he didn't play well. But did you think that Kyle Duggar deserved that 4-year extension? I'll start with you, Andy. Do you think he deserved that 4-year contract or something like that?
We gave him in 23.
I think we gave him last year.
Oh, we gave him last year? Okay. Oh yeah, we did.
Yeah,
we did.
23.
Okay, cool. Good question. Do I believe he deserved it? Ugh. Looking at these numbers, I can say at the time, yes. But considering how he looked last year, with basically the only stat being those 4. What's column L again? I think it's
Let me take a look. Column L, that's pass deflections.
Pass defended, yeah, it's 7 in 2023 and then 4 in 2024. I mean, yes, I can say at the time I think Duggar did deserve that extension. After seeing him play last year, I can't say 100% that I agree with it. He is 28. Just look up when his birth. Let me just look up when his birthday is.
He's 29 years old right now.
He's 29, yeah. So it'll be borderline his 30-year-old season. So I think that's. So come to think of it, that would be 5 years is a bit much money to spend on a guy who's that old at safety.
How about you, Austin?
I actually do think he was deserving of the contract at the time. You're looking at like total tackles. I mean, career high right there, 224. He started every game that season. He had 2 interceptions. He was an all-around physical player, like perfect run support safety. Like I think that 23 season, yeah, Mayo coming into that, he's like, okay, that guy's going to be a cornerstone. Let's hand him that extension. Now hindsight's 2020. Now we're looking at it, based off of last year, where he only played in 13 games. He struggled with an injury all year. I can commend him for at least, powering through and trying to play for us because, our team was shit. And I feel like if that's any other player, they're just like, I'm hurt. I don't care. I'm just not going to try for the team. Duggar actually, still went out there and tried to play some form of, solid football. So I really commend that effort. And, I look forward to seeing what he could do. Like I said, he was deserving of the contract in 24. Looking back now, probably not, but I'm not
Yeah.
as mad at it as I am at,
Yeah.
maybe like the Stevenson or the Godshaw signing.
Yeah, no,
Like
that no
extension.
offense, Austin. Yeah, that was basically sorry if you didn't hear me, but yeah, that was the point I was trying to make. It's like, yeah, at the time I was, oh yeah, definitely re-up Kyle Duggar. Now, although I do like your point as to how he carried himself last season, because he must have known the staff and the most of the players around him were crap. And yet, we go out onto the field there Sunday and play a serviceable form of football, and you've got to admire him for that. But with the age, I mean, that's why I'd second guess re-upping him right now.
Yeah, I just felt like what the defensive staff or the coaching staff or the front office as a whole, I didn't think that they did anything right with the Kyle Duggar. Like, if he suffered an injury, I would have sit him for the entire season, let him rest, and then be back for 2025.
In fact, it was Duggar didn't get. I think it was Duggar last year where it was Mayo. Where was it Duggar last year where Mayo got super coy about his injury, and we were all like, "What the fuck?" I mean, just come out and say something.
I don't remember.
Yeah, I think that was Duggar. Come to think of it, and that situation was handled very poorly by the coaching staff. I mean,
it was,
and we've alluded to this before, Dow. This is a staff that will know how to handle the Garys when they arise, and we have not had that in a long time.
Exactly. But I just feel like hopefully Kyle Duggar has a comeback year season. But if he doesn't perform well, even under Vrabel and Terrell Williams, might as well trade him. But at the same time, let me just briefly check Kyle Duggar's cap space, because I want to see some scenarios like if we were to cut him or trade him, if anything happens. I want to take a look at Kyle Duggar just quickly. So I'm just actually gonna share this for a little bit so I can see Kyle Duggar's situation. Okay, take a look at Kyle Duggar. Let's take a look at trade. Let's take a look at cut post June. If we were to cut him now, we would at least get $1 million in cap space in season, but we would get a dead money. We would have a dead money hit with $14 million we would have $14 million in dead money. But if we were to trade him, it would be like 10. We would save at least $10 million, and we would only lose $4 million. That would be like the situation if Duggar doesn't perform up to the potential under Vrabel and Terrell Williams. But we got to see this upcoming season because there's so much unknown with Kyle Duggar.
Was this off a spot track?
This is on over the cap.
Oh, okay, cool.
So I just hope Kyle Duggar does well, coming back from that injury, healthy and ever. But let's talk about another worrisome safety after an impressive 2023 campaign, and that is Jabril Peppers. I don't know why, but for some reason he looked promising, even though he was with two crappy teams, and they were the Browns and the Giants. And with the Patriots, I thought he looked really promising, but for some reason he fell mightily because of the legal issues that he had. Do you think that Jabril Peppers will bounce back this upcoming season compared to Kyle Dunker? I'll start with you, Andy.
Jabril Peppers having a bounce back season. With Mike Vrabel not suffering fools, I think there is a chance. I mean, obviously, looking at this chart here, he only played 6 games in 2024 after playing 15 and 23 and 17 and 22, both with the Pats. He had that, I'm not going to say stellar 2023, but decent 2023. 2 picks, 8 passes defended. And his tackle count was fairly high. And then, of course, it all shot the shit with certain staff in 2024. But I'm not counting on a bounce back for Jabril Peppers. Of course, we're seeing how Vrabel is handling the whole Stephon Diggs situation. But I mean, I would like to see it. I'm not 100% sure we're going to.
How about you, Austin?
I think Jabril has a really good chance of bouncing back. Barring, I mean, the legal issues can't be helped, right? I mean, he had to take time away from the team. To be honest, I'm shocked that maybe they. I thought he could have been cut, honestly, with everything going on. I mean, back in the day, I mean, we were so quick to, Antonio Brown had just a hint of sexual assault allegations, and it was like, okay, you're off the team. Like Jabril Peppers, what was it? Drugs and a gun, or something along the lines.
No, it was I think it was a. Let me take a look. I think it was domestic violence, cocaine possession.
Yeah, so I mean, I'm kind of shocked he wasn't cut, but if he's still on this team, I mean, he's a great safety in this league. He's a hard physical safety. He can play coverage. Like, I think he's like a hybrid. Like, when you look at a Kyle Duggar, you're kind of just going, okay, he's a run support safety. Like, I don't look at Kyle Duggar going, yep, he can cover the deep third of the field and he's not going to let Tyreek Hill pass him. Like, no, Duggar's going to get burned 9 times out of 10. Jabril Peppers, on the other hand, he has the speed, he has the physicality. Like, I would say Peppers has a better chance of staying on this team than Duggar does at this point. But I mean, we'll see.
Yeah, and surprisingly, in spite of the shit show that happened with Jabril Peppers, he did have an overall grade in 82.3. Didn't do well in the pass rush, but in the run defense, he looked above average, 74.7, which ranked 35th out of 171 qualifying safeties. And surprisingly, he did really well in coverage, 8th out of 171 qualifying safeties. So I think he has the chance. But as long as he stays away, we know that he's cleared of charges. As long as he stays away from all of that stupidity with whatever happened with the cocaine and the domestic violence incident, I think he should be. I think he should be fine. I think he will look a lot better as long as he stay away from the issues. But when we take a look at depth, I'm telling you, this safety room looks a lot better than last year. And obviously, we don't have Marseille Mapu on the list because for some reason he decided to convert back to linebacker, and we didn't discuss him yet. What are your thoughts on Marte Mapu reverting back to linebacker, and do you think he deserves to stay with the Patriots? I'll start with you, Andy.
I think this came up in the chat the other day. Am I mistaken that we actually initially drafted Marte Mapu to be a linebacker?
Yes.
And of course, we know Vrabel played linebacker when he was in the NFL. So, again, let me just PFF him real quick here. This was his pass rush grade was an 81.2 in 2024, and that was as a linebacker. So, yeah, I definitely think yeah, I think him being reverted back to linebacker is probably the best way to go. Although, why don't I just quickly look up at 20? Yeah. Wait, why is he not? Why am I not finding stats for him as a safety?
Uh,
Um,
or let me take a look.
Go ahead.
But at the same time, I don't, like I said before, I don't have the I don't have like the premium stats for Martin Mapu, but let me take a look. But as far as I know, he said that I'm so confused. I'm extremely confused with him because he said he would play at linebacker and then he converted to safety.
Yeah, he played safety. Oh, geez, he did. He played safety in 2024.
Yeah.
And still registered a pass rush grade of 81.2, which is not half bad.
Yeah, he could be like a middle linebacker.
He could easily be a middle linebacker.
But
position strong safety. Yeah, that's definitely he definitely has more of a linebacker build to him. Austin, what are your thoughts on Mr. Marte Mapu?
Yeah, I think if he was going to make the team, the best shot of him making the team was converting back to linebacker. I just think our safety room, not only is it good, but there's just so many bodies there where, I mean, you're looking at safety and it's like only two can be on the field at one time. Now you're looking at linebackers and you could have as much as I want to say 5 in specific packages. Like if you run a 3, I don't know, 3-4 bear and you added an extra bot, however you want to do the math type of thing. I just think he has more opportunity to play if it is going to be at linebacker. And then because of his experience with playing coverage at safety the past couple of years, maybe that's something they look to, Marte Mapu and Christian Ellis on passing downs where he can contribute in that way. But I definitely think moving him to linebacker was the right move. It's just going to be interesting to see if he can beat out some of those bigger bodies like Spillane and Gibbons and Tavai.
Yeah, let's just hope he performs well because I know that he wasn't that entirely impressive throughout OTAs and minicamp. Hopefully he could show that he could potentially make the 53-man roster, but with so much talent that we have, especially when we have Spillane, when we have Gibbons, when we have Ellis and Tavai, it's just hard for me to see Mapu taking that 53-man spot. So we're gonna have to keep an eye on that throughout training camp. But let's quickly head on to the rest of the safeties behind Duggar and Peppers, and let's start with Jalen Hawkins. Now, Jalen Hawkins, we signed him to like a 1-year deal, and he looked really good with Atlanta. Let's get that straight. But under New England, I thought he looked really serviceable, and I think that Jalen Hawkins, I know that Atlanta, he was decent in Atlanta, and I know that he wasn't utilized much in with the Los Angeles Chargers. So, what are your thoughts on like Jalen Hawkins potentially playing a bigger role for the defense? I'll start with you, Andy.
Yeah, I think Jalen Hawkins could definitely play a bigger role on a Vrabel and potentially Terrell Williams led defense, maybe Zach Coor. We don't really know about that yet. But yeah, looking at the numbers again, I mean, serviceable. He had no picks, but he had a pass defended. He had a fumble recovery. Um, uh, You know, 21 assisted tackles in 2024. He's like you said, Dow, he's a serviceable guy, and he's one of those guys, like Austin said, you can only have two on the field at one point, and we haven't even talked about Craig Woodson. Ugh. But I think definitely, yeah, I'd like to see him not have a bounce back. You wouldn't call it a bounce back year. He's only been a Patriot for one season, but he could definitely have an up year, under Williams/Core and Vrabel.
How about you, Austin?
I was very happy with how Jalen Hawkins played last year. Not to like really rope Del Pedersen too, but I was very happy with how he played too. I thought with everything going on with Jabril Peppers off the field and him not being able to play, and then everything happening with Kyle Duggar where he's not at top form, Jalen Hawkins and Del Pettis I think came in and provided a much needed safety room. The tackles were there, the games were there. They both played as much games as they could last season. It'd be interesting to see if they're going to take that next step. But I thought what I saw last year was good. Granted, our team was really bad, but they were one of those bright spots in our defense that you're actually watching the game and you're going, yeah, Jalen Hawkins, he just made that pass breakup, or you're getting excited because Del Pettis just tackled a guy. Like, you can't say that about everyone else, but
yeah, Del Pettis made some really, really nice plays last season. And come to think of it, I mean, between the injury to Christian Barmore and the misuse of Gonzo
and misuse of Keon White,
which seems like it's been going on for a dog's age. Yeah, I mean, safety was a bright spot on the Pats last year. I mean, we don't need to rehash over and over what a bad team we had. I mean, we know that the defense took a nosedive. We couldn't stop the run. If our lives, we couldn't stop it. We had a defense who couldn't stop a nosebleed, and a large part of that was Christian Barmore. Having him back is going to be huge. But these safeties, and to a lesser extent, Gonzo had to pick everything up, and all things considered, they did really well. So giving potentially every guy on this list a shot, and I think I didn't count, what's it, 10, 12. It's going to be interesting to see, especially, the training camp battle for safety and how many we wind up carrying.
Yeah. I feel like Jalen Hawkins has been really impressive as like depth. He could be, I think since we were discussing Hawkins and Pettis, I extremely love the depth at center. What am I talking? Depth at safety, excuse me. I just feel, I just think that the amount of depth that we have at safety, even the departures with Devin McCourty, and since we released Daron Harmon, I just feel like the depth that we have at safety has been really impressive, and especially ever since that we released Adrian Phillips. I think, yeah, I love what I'm seeing from the secondary room, even with Del Pettis, who was of undrafted free agent. Let me repeat this: an undrafted free agent. He looked really good as an undrafted free agent, especially getting one sack onto Caleb Williams. You don't normally see like a safety getting sacks onto quarterbacks like that. I just think that if Del Pettis is developed properly, I could see him being like a long-term safety for the team once Duggar leaves and once Pemper leaves. But yeah, do you think Del Pettis could be like a long-term safety if developed properly?
If developed properly, 100%. I mean, I mean, like you were talking about that sack on Caleb Williams, you could almost double the guy as a linebacker. And he's young. He's only 24. This will be his 24, 25-year-old season. And he has a staff who know how to develop young guys and who know how to play old guys. I know that sounds stupid, but yeah, I mean, he's got a coaching staff who knows how to develop him now, and safety, like we were talking about cornerback earlier. If we keep Del Pettis on this roster, and Craig Woodson is not a position we'll need to be worrying about for a long time.
How about you, Austin?
Yeah, I mean, the age, the numbers, what's not to like? I could really see Del Pettis and Craig Woodson, being that duo for us moving forward, like Andy said.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think that Del Pettis, he could be.
That's a resounding yeah from all three of us there. It's
yeah, I love Del Pettis. I love
young
Del
safeties,
Pettis.
we're gonna like him. Let's rock and roll.
Yeah, I love our safety room. If somehow, wait, go ahead, Andy.
In case you guys who are watching can't tell how excited we are about this upcoming season before training camp is even here. Here we are fawning over a soon-to-be second-year Patriot who was an undrafted rookie free agent. So, yeah, I mean, I think, he's young, as is Craig Woodson. Like I said earlier, I was not really down with that pick, but after watching some footage of his, whoa, that kid can play ball.
That was my question. Then you kind of answer about Craig Woodson. And I tell you, I was one of those guys who was not entirely sure about Craig Woodson because I felt like we overdrafted him. But I think that Mike Vrabel, Elliot Wolf, and Ryan Cowden. No, I think Mike Vrabel and Ryan Cowden have experienced this before when they drafted Kevin Byard for the Tennessee Titans. So this is, I think, they're trying to replicate what they did with Kevin Byard now with Craig Woodson. And I'm telling you, Craig Woodson, he could be like your Devin McCourty type. He could play he can play deep. He can be like your free safety. He's going to be deep in coverage, looking out at somebody like your speedy wide receivers who like to play, who are like deep threats for them. I think that Craig Woodson could potentially be your guy, especially going up against some top tier talent, up against Cam Ward, up against a top team in an SMU. Let me just recall in that video that
you could even have a guy like him cover tight ends.
Oh yeah, there's so many good tight ends we could go up against. Like for example, the first game against the Raiders, him going up against Brock Bowers, or Michael Mayer.
Correct.
That would be really impressive. But what are your thoughts on Craig Woodson, Austin?
Yeah, I'm very excited. Kind of to resonate what you guys are saying, when the pick kind of came in, I mean, I'm sure we were all kind of like, really? Safety? And we just kind of questioned it, but watching highlights, I mean, the dude's a ball player. He can make plays. He's a physical tackler. I mean, I think you can look at everybody on this list in terms of the defensive backs, and it's something that Vrabel's trying to harp is like the physicality and like the willingness to tackle, which I think is why like Carlton Davis was such an easy, bring in, because he's not afraid to get physical. Where like other corners, they see Derrick Henry coming down the lane, they're like, I'm getting out of here. Carlton Davis will lay down his head, and I think Craig Woodson's going to be that same type of player. And I just think we have a lot of people that are willing to put the football team above themselves and just do whatever it takes to win and be successful. And I just think this group is going to be really fun to watch. And Craig Woodson could very well come out of it this year being our future leader. He commanded the defenses while being at Cal. It wouldn't shock me if he does the same thing for us.
This is a lot of guys, Woodson included, who are buying hook, line, and sinker into there's no iron team. We've seen it with Will Campbell. We're seeing it with Woodson now. We've seen it even with Efton Chisholm. We're seeing it with all these rookies and veterans. We're seeing it with Davis. We're seeing it with Spillane. We're seeing it, I want to say, off the field issues notwithstanding, with Stephon Diggs. you got these guys who are buying into the culture that Vrabel hopes to bring back to Foxborough. And Craig Woodson, if I can go, well, he's the topic right now. I believe Daniel Jeremiah had him ranked as 90th overall prospect, which was mid to late third round. Most pundits had him pegged as a fourth or fifth round pick. So we took him actually below where Jeremiah had him ranked, which I find fascinating. And I was like, I remember being at that work that day. And like you said, Austin, really a safety? Like, do we really need one? We have Pettis, we have Hawkins, we have da, 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 da. And I remember, at that point thinking, interesting. And then, looked at that footage from Cal and having a safety who can play physically. I have a buddy who played strong safety, and he's like, he goes, Andy, I love to tackle. So having that safety who wants to play almost as a hybrid linebacker, I'm not saying Woodson is that guy, but I mean, we can say, safety and then defensive back. Dow, if you could go to that bottom row for Woodson for me, please and thank you. Is a defensive back again. So, yeah, this is Woodson. I mean, he's a hawkish defender who can potentially be super versatile on the football field, and that's something Pats have needed for a long, long time. Again,
Exactly. Actually, I think that Craig Woodson could play a huge, crucial role for Kerr's or Williams' defense, especially that we need some young guys, especially of how old Peppers and Doug are getting. It would be nice to get at least some depth at safety rather than just relying on these two old guys and they fall apart. But then again, it doesn't hurt to get depth at safety. Like speaking of that safety, we did draft some undrafted free agents at the safety position, and one notable undrafted free agent safety, and that is Josh Minkins. There were times where Josh Minkins have made plays, but I don't see him being in like the active roster at any point. But what are your thoughts on Josh Minkins, undrafted free agent out of? Let me take a look.
Yeah, Josh Minkins.
Out of Cincinnati.
Out of Cincinnati, yeah, and I think he was like one of the last guys we signed. He's young, I mean, but could be just. Overall, he appeared in 49 games, made 132 tackles and 4 picks. This could be one of those guys it seems like we've talked about this whole stream who could be just another body on the roster. He went to Louisville for 4 years and then transferred to Cincinnati. Played 11 games, so he's durable. 45 tackles on 2024. He did have 2 picks. A fumble recovery, 4 passes defended. So he is a serviceable guy, clearly, looking at these stats. But when you consider how many guys we now have potentially at the safety position, especially between Pettis, Woodson, and let me go over here.
I think we skipped over Epps.
We did. Oh, you're right,
Austin. Oh shoot! I forgot.
We haven't talked about Epps.
Let's quickly finish up the Minkins take, and then we'll get back to Epps.
So Woodson, Pettis, and Hawkins, and yes, Marcus Epps.
So Austin, what are your thoughts on Josh Minkins?
Quite honestly, I didn't really. I don't even know who he is really. I didn't watch too much on him or anything, so I can't really. I don't want to talk out of my mouth with this guy since I don't really know.
I said some stats I can throw out later. I can just throw them up on Discord for you. I was actually surprised because I'd hardly heard of him. Looked like a fairly serviceable guy last year, but I mean, it's like, do we really want a roster clogged up? I'm not going to say clogged up with safeties. I don't want to say clogged up with any position, but
we have 7 right now. I doubt we carry 7.
We're
Yeah.
not going to carry 7. If we carry 7 at any position, it's going to be wide receiver. And looking at it here, it's Duggar, Peppers, Epps, Hawkins, Pettis, Woodson, and then Minkins. So yeah, that's 7. We're not going to carry more than 5.
Yeah.
If not 4.
But let's quickly talk about Epps, because I forgot about Epps. I didn't think about him, but considering that he is one of our free agent signings, and we did sign him to like a 1-year deal, and I think that 1-year deal is serviceable, because when we take a look at Marcus Epps, he did play for the Eagles, and he did win that, and I think he did. No. I was thinking that he won that Super Bowl, but so he was with Minnesota. Then he claimed up. Then he was waived from the Vikings, and then claimed off of waivers by the Eagles, and he has looked decent with the Eagles. And then when he signed with the Raiders for 2 seasons, he looked decent. However, my concern with Epps is he's coming off of a torn ACL, so health is going to be a big question mark for Epps. But based off what he did with the Raiders, he looked really serviceable. But what are your thoughts on Epps, Andy?
Yeah, based off of what he did with the Raiders, especially in 2023. I mean, 17 out of 17 games. What was his injury, Dow? If you wouldn't mind looking
Torn
that up for me.
ACL.
Oh, that's always a killer. But yeah, I mean, he had 3 passes defended, a forced fumble, a fumble recovery, no picks on 2023. He's not exactly a pick machine. But yeah, I think he is definitely a serviceable signing, and even though he's a defensive guy, I believe that was, if I'm not mistaken, was 2023 McDaniel's final year with the Raiders. I think it was.
Yeah. It was.
It was? Okay. So yeah, he is, having played with, a Josh McDaniels style offense, he's very familiar with that. So yeah, I think, like I just alluded to, we're not going to sign more than 5 safeties. I think I'd put Epps on the edge, though, of, despite that history with McDaniels and the 2023 season, with his injury history, maybe on the outside looking in. He's going to be 29. And I mean, it's another one of those guys, sound like a broken record, but you say, how does he play in training camp?
I really like Marcus Epps, but just from more of like a run defense position. I think he's another physical player, and you just kind of look at his tackles. I mean, he had nearly 200. Kyle Duggar's best year was just a little over 200, I believe. So I think they play very similar, box type of safety roles. Both of them are pretty poor at coverage. I mean, Marcus Epps is still better at coverage. I mean, I'm not really going to go off of the 24 season because he got hurt, but if we go off like 23 season, we're talking like high 70 run defense grade and mid 60 coverage grade, or like a Kyle Duggar. 2024 last year was like a 30 coverage grade. So I mean, Duggar is definitely still worse at coverage. I think Epps just is another, hey, they're gonna run, fill the box, like maybe sub out Jabril for something like that, or he comes in to give Duggar a break. But like Andy said, he's kind of just on the edge right there. Like he's on the cusp of making the team. I don't think it's a guarantee, because anybody coming off of a torn ACL is at a detriment. Although we are kind of being proved wrong with the way that Stephon Diggs has been recovering. I mean, that is pretty impressive. Like whoever Diggs has, get Epps on the phone with that dude, because
Exactly. I mean, what's it, 6 or 8 months after a torn ACL? I mean, you got to be kidding me, man. He's out there running like the wind.
Yeah.
And by the
Better
way,
than-
34.8 coverage grade for Kyle Duggar last season.
Yeah, just terrible.
Yeah. But there's actually one last question before we call it for today, and it has to do with that open hole. That if there's a potentially besides cornerbacks, let's say there are so many like serviceable like free agents at safety, and one of the safeties. Let me just switch over to this. There's actually one safety who is still currently in the free agent in the free agent market. I don't know if he's still in the market right now, but
Justin
I really
Simmons.
want to. Yeah, I want.
Yeah.
Do you think we should bring in Justin Simmons, or he's a bit too expensive, or we just have decent number of safeties and talent wise?
I just don't know if bring him in really pushes the needle. He's how old is he? He must be almost mid-30s, right?
He's like 31.
Justin
he's
Simmons
31.
is 31. Yeah, it'll be his 32-year-old season, roughly.
I mean, he was a cornerstone of that Broncos defense for a while. I could see it. I don't know if I'm necessarily gonna be waving the flag excited that he's on our team if that happens. Just because I think at this point in their careers, I mean, there's probably a reason why somebody's not signing him. He probably would have already been on a team.
Yeah.
Yeah, I like our group that we have now. I'm not opposed to bringing anyone in. Like I said, I think everybody has a shot of making the roster. If they want to bring more people in, more power to them.
Even if it's just for versatility. I mean,
yeah,
it's like two guys are better than one.
Yeah, what I did not know about Justin Simmons before he was drafted by the Broncos that he actually went to Boston College, so that could be potentially a return for Justin Simmons, even though he was born in like Florida, but it would have been
Virginia.
nice. Oh, Virginia, excuse me, but it would have been nice if he returns to Boston just because that's where he went to school.
BC. Hey, take a BC guy. I'd be down.
Yeah,
Harold Landry was out of BC, wasn't he?
yes, he did. Same with Jack Connolly.
And Jack Conley. Yep.
Yeah, I love bringing BC guys, and I'm gonna say that at some point I really want to go to a BC. I want to go to a Boston College game because who knows, there could be some Boston College guys we can get next year in the
Do a
draft.
little bit of scouting.
Yeah,
That'd be fun.
yeah, it would be fun, even though it's gonna be a bit pricey. But at the end of the day, it is what it is. It's not as like
Yeah, I haven't been to a college football game in a long time.
yeah. So it'd be nice to watch a college game and do some analysis, but. That's going to be it for today's live stream. It was fun hanging out with you guys. It's unfortunate that Dustin couldn't make it tonight, but it was nice chatting with you two, Andy and Austin. So it was a fun one. However, we got one more positional live stream, and I think that's going to be it. And then we're we're officially going to be starting the brand new series on film breakdowns of some of the rookies, may possibly like free agents and undrafted free agents. So this is going to be fun throughout the hiatus between OTAs and training camp. So should be fun. But as always, please make sure that you smash the like button if you really enjoyed the show. And please hit subscribe. It's completely free and helps grow the channel and supports the channel in a massive way possible. And smash the bell. And please click on the bell for notifications so that you would be notified that you won't miss any of the shows coming forward. But as always, guys, go Pats.
Go Pats.
go Pats.